How's it going, everyone? Mad Spartan here, and today I'm bringing you war number 6, officially halfway through the season, and I gotta say, overall, it's not going horrible. I know that at the time of recording this, they just released the notes that they're going to be nerfing the global, which is like a big thing to look forward to. I'm definitely very happy about that. Hopefully it becomes like a little bit more manageable, maybe even be able to take some globals with non-global, maybe like Titania if possible, but for right now I haven't even read the notes yet to see what it is. Have high hopes for it, but not entirely sure. On my path, the first up we do have an abs man, which is a pretty easy fight. It's not too bad. I will be taking though power snack dust, which was pretty interesting because I didn't know how to fight her exactly. It was my first time ever fighting her. I dueled her a few times just to see like what her kit was about, so I was definitely a little nervous about that. And then I also take conflictor kingpin, so it was a pretty active war for me. I was definitely very happy, because after this I don't really get that many fights after that. But especially last war, I think I literally only had like 4 fights last war, so it's definitely a big jump, and I'm definitely happy about it. Next up, we do have a blade, and one thing that I've come to realize is my Storm rank 3 7-star. It doesn't matter where they put these 6-star skills. If they're ascended 6 stars, like, I just feel like their health just melts. They can only have so much health as a 6-star, and it shows when I'm literally doing a 5-hit combo and just like taking out like 18% of their health all in one shot. I'm gonna parry the SP1 here because we don't want him to gain indestructible charges that easily. Unfortunately, I did give him a few there, but I'm gonna hit into his block to gain them all back. We are at the max 7, and as long as we keep hitting, we're gonna keep pausing the timer. I'm always going to keep parrying that SP1. It does no damage when you parry it, and also helps me build up indestructibles. I'm going to throw him with an SP2 here, and he should be dead. As you guys saw, I'm getting like 85,000 crit. It's just it's an absurd character. She just hits so hard, and when they're 6-star, their health just evaporates. It's just crazy. Next up, we do have a Wong, which there really is no node for Wong here, especially if you're using a buff immune. It's only like when you knock them down you gain a fury, and I guess because Wong benefits from when you have buffs, it makes it a little more difficult to fight him. But if you're buff immune, there's literally nothing here. Now the goal is to try to beat him before his Eldritch energy starts flowing. It's not the end of the world if I'm not able to, because all I gotta do is hit him with a heavy to get it all the way back down to 0. Once it hits 90 and it says that it's almost erupting or something like that, you can just hit him with a heavy after his SP1. I like to do because it mitigates any damage that you do. And we're also like 75% of the fight in Haymaker, so even if it happens to get past that, I'm pretty much going to be holding on to my Haymaker here to make sure that I can tank it just in case. Throw an SP3 in the middle of the heavy to duplicate all the debuffs, and just like that, majority of his health is already gone, which is going to leave like 3 hits until he's down. And it was crazy. It was like a 55-second fight. It's just ridiculous. Next up, we do have a Domino EMP, which is literally here every season. Does not matter what the meta is. Unfortunately, I always have to bring iDoom for it, so I am always sacrificing a spot on my team for her. It's not the end of the world. I need to guarantee the one-shot either way, and I used to use Titania on it, but now that she's becoming a 7-star and slowly getting more powerful, it's just not worth it to me to play such a stressful fight when iDoom pretty much owns it. I mean, no character exactly owns it, especially with Domino when she turns off everything. But he definitely has the most control in my opinion, because if you can land taking the shock away and gaining your aura, that SP2 does crazy power drain. Even if she takes, 1 or 2 of the 3 power drains, you're still doing big burst damage. And if you don't do burst damage, you still do you still apply shock. So it's still overall a beneficial super to have. I do start the match with a gray regen boost because I definitely want to mitigate some of the critical failures in the beginning. As you can see, it's not hitting for any more than like 500, which is obviously a decent amount if it continues to stack, and my luck is kind of against me. But overall, we should be fine as long as we maintain more health than her. We're always in a winning state of the game. Gonna try to throw the SP2 here. We did end up getting it, which we got pretty lucky, and just like that, we can mow down like at least like 20% of their health. So it's definitely a way to gain back the momentum if it's ever lost. I will be throwing the relic out to link with my SP2. I try to make it so that they hold onto their meter, and then I throw it to do more power drain. But unfortunately, with someone like Domino, you don't want to do that because of not only the node that when a buff ends, they gain power. It's more of if she decides not to throw it or takes away too many power drains, the build up to itself is literally nothing. And it's even worse if I try to take the shock and she takes it away and I have to sacrifice getting hit by throwing a special, which will probably put her at 3 bars. So overall, it's very up to chance when fighting this champ. So we do take just the for sure way out, doing minimal power drain. I think it's only a 10k burst, which is still a lot, obviously, but we could be doing so much more if we were power draining more. But you can't afford it. As you guys see, I do end combos leading into her special. So if she gains unlucky, it won't act for the last hit. So I definitely try to bait out these luckies. I don't want any part of them. Trying to start baiting specials like as soon as she gains them, so I'm never in the corner while she's holding on to meter. Like I've been in the problem of a few times. We call in the relic to gain some distance here. I'm gonna try to hold heavy. I don't end up going for it though because I wanted to. But I felt like if it got taken away, I literally would have lost the entire game. So I definitely did not want to risk that. And next up, which was a fight that I prepared for like a day and a half, because that she ended up coming out the month that I kind of took off, and I didn't end up doing the monthly event. So as cool as she was, I just wasn't really motivated at all to play. So I ended up having to take the L on that one, and then I got assigned her, so I had to find a duel and just continuously duel her and figure out what you can and can't do. Now this fight, you know, part of it being, you know, I was obviously nervous from the character I was fighting. I've never fought them before. I dueled them a few times. Had a lot of bad luck with punishing their SP1, so just like the Onslaught, I'm not really going to be dashing in much. I can't hit her block too many times because then she glances and puts a sand debuff. You can't have more than 4 at a time, so it's always important to dex the SP1 and also not hit into her block too much as I want to, so I can build up my haymakers and just everything like that. I would end up sacrificing an entire sandstorm, which is going to do pretty good damage. And as you can see, I almost got caught by the SP1, which would have been very unfortunate. You can't block her mediums, and you really can't have her block your attack. So it's just an endless cycle of like failing intercepts and dashing back to wait for the sand debuffs to go away. I do throw an SP1 here to not only maintain pressure, but to build my haymaker because I knew I was going to make it. So trying to bait out the SP1 here. I've been told that I don't want any part of the SP2, and I just kind of listened to my alliance members from that. When I was dueling her, I didn't really see much issues with it, so you know, I just kind of trusted them on that one. The block damage seemed pretty minimal, and it wasn't really applying any debuffs or anything. So, but I just took their word for it. I'm gonna be trying to land some intercepts here. It's a very slow game because I don't want to gain too many sand debuffs. I don't want to overextend and end up, you know, her getting to an SP2. So I do play this fight very slowly. The heavy is very fast. A lot of times I'm not even able to punish it. Took a lot of practice just from dueling her to be able to do it. Now, many of you are probably asking why aren't I throwing the heavy into the SP3? Because I was afraid that when she blocks an attack and you hit her, she's gonna glance that first hit. So my biggest fear was I was gonna throw the heavy into her block and then she was gonna glance it, and then I would throw the SP3 and no debuffs would come out because it would still linger from the glance. I'm not exactly sure how her glance in essence works. I know that for someone like Cersei, who has the glance buff, if you end a combo into Clairvoyance SP2, you don't gain the buff immunity from her. So I was afraid that it was going to be that interaction, and then it would have been just a wasted SP3 that would have done no damage. So I do the for sure thing and just throw it right into her, at least gaining the damage. I do end up getting backdrafted here from her, so I definitely lost my indestructible, which was upsetting, but I mean, I'm in full control of the fight. I'm not too nervous. Try to bait out this SP1 here and then use my haymaker to go right in. Unfortunately, with haymaker, it's literally a lose-lose. When you continue to attack her, if you hit into her block, she gains a sand debuff, and if she hits you with a medium in terms of hitting back at you while you're in haymaker, you gain another sand debuff. So it's kind of just an endless goal of being under 3, so you have some wiggle room, but nothing crazy. I'm going to be trying to hold on to this SP3 in hopes that it kills, but I'm just waiting for my haymaker to come. As much as I want to throw the heavy, I just know that it won't do me any good. I mean, I'd have to chance that she would want to attack me, which I can't even chance, because if she does attack me and I gain 2, I can throw the SP3, and if I continue to hit into her block, I would end up giving myself the sandstorm. So I definitely didn't want that. The time was running out, and I was kind of nervous. So there's only 1 minute and 23 seconds left. But just like that, an SP3 puts us right on track, and we ended up soloing that, which I was very excited about. It wasn't, in essence, a hard fight. It was more I was just diving into the unknown, I guess was the best way to put it. And next up, we do have a Kingpin on Conflictor, which, if you guys remember, the last Conflictor fight I took was Killmonger, which an entirely different skill champ. The reverberation is a big deal with Killmonger, and I feel like if anyone else was there, if they don't have reverberation, the fight itself is a breeze. So I'm going to be fighting him exactly the same way that I fight Killmonger, and you guys are going to notice that, as I said when I was fighting the Blade, if it's a 6-star Ascended, it's just, their health is just eviscerated. It's just crazy. Now, my biggest fear, though, was the Kingpin not throwing his SP1. Now, there's multiple cases that I've had where the AI for Kingpin just never throws the SP1, and with his increased combat power rate, and also from him gaining his rage charges, Conflictor will take those away. But as long as I maintain, I believe it's up to 3 prowesses, I actually will stop that from happening. So not only am I focusing on taking him down, I'm going to be focusing on having at least over 3 or 4 prowesses to make sure that his rage buffs don't ever get taken away. I know that they're either like, I know that you can use it from like attack, but I think on defense he gains rage charges by his own. I think it's when he is dealt enough damage or something like that. So it's not really a controlled debuff that I can kind of just figure out when it's going to come out. So it's just kind of maintaining a state of constantly having 3 to 4 prowess buffs to stop the Conflictor from taking it. Now, I did dive underneath 3 there, and I was a little nervous. That was a big thing, and I also am trying to hold on to this SP2 when he has no meter. So I'm going to try to bait this SP1 here while also maintaining my prowesses, and then immediately hit him with an SP2 and hope to shred basically all of his health away. Just do a double medium there, and just like that, we did do a decent amount of damage. Now, because we also have the prowesses, he can't shrug off these shocks that we give him too. So, on top of the damage from the special, we are also doing big damage over time against him. He is being very generous with these SP1s, which I'm very happy about, because I think the worst thing that can happen is the AI not cooperating with me and just holding on to the SP1, and then eventually I have to push him to SP2 where he builds all his indestructibles. It's just a very unfortunate fight. But he is being pretty generous with us. I'm definitely glad. Now, we did do this fight on Ice Tempest because I didn't want the chance of me having less prowesses and then him shrugging off the stun that I get on basic attacks. So it was just more of a safer route having Ice Tempest so that there was no stun, so I could at least account for at least one of the debuffs that I would have been doing and just make sure that I'm building up prowesses and taking him down. And just like that, my war was done. It was definitely a good war. A very slow dust fight with a very dominating ward from Storm in general. She is just an amazing rank up. I'm so glad that I chose her. I was split between like Bishop. I was split between Sauron and just I had Gambit on there as well. And I'm glad I chose her because she's always been one of my favorite champs, and now she has a huge use. So overall, you know, it's not bad. Definitely a good war. Definitely a wake-up call from last war when I literally had like 4 fights. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all on the next one.